October 21st, 1345, southwest France. 7,000 French soldiers had taken off their armor. Dinner was on the fire. Wine was flowing. The English garrison they'd been besieging for weeks was starving behind its walls. Finished. Everyone agreed. Just a matter of time. No one was watching the tree in. That was their first mistake. In the shadows, 1,200 English and Gascon soldiers stood in dead silence, outnumbered 6-1. By all rules of medieval warfare, stepping out of those woods was pure suicide, a death sentence. But their 35-year-old commander, Henry of Gromer, saw something the French didn't. How do you destroy an army 6 times your size without a massive siege? This is Oberose. Welcome to Britain's history. Ober is a forgotten masterpiece of aggressive warfare. But to understand why Henry risked his entire force in a suicidal 6-1 night attack, we need to know what England was actually fighting for in southwest France. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into medieval history, make sure you're subscribed. Let's go back to 1337, when the H100 Red Years' War officially began. Edward III of England claimed the French throne through his mother Isabella, daughter of Philip IV of France. The French rejected the claim under Salic law and crowned Philip VI of Valois instead. Edward's response was to declare himself king of France and commence hostilities. 1 year later, Poitiers in 1356. These are the battles everyone learns about, the set-piece victories that define the English military achievement in the 100 Years' War. But Oberose came first, and it established the pattern. English longbowmen opening the action. Coordinated de cavalerie exploitation. Professional soldiers who kept their discipline under pressure. Henry's force at Oberose was smaller than what Edward III commanded at Crécy, but the tactical principles were identical. It was also a demonstration, perhaps the clearest demonstration in the early 100 Years' War, that English armies had moved decisively beyond the feudal model. Henry's men weren't serving because their lord had called them to 40-day service. They were professionals fighting under contracts, experienced in the realities of campaign. They could march by night, reconnoiter an enemy position, coordinate a complex multi-axis attack, and deliver it with the timing of a pocket watch. That professional competence was the real English advantage, and Oberose showed it at its best. Henry of Gromen would go on to become the first Duke of Lancaster, one of the founding members of the Order of the Garter, and one of the most celebrated figures of 14th century England. He was Edward III's most trusted commander. But on the evening of October 21st, 1345, something important happened here. A commander with 200 men looked at an army 6 times his size and decided that the best response to impossible odds was to attack immediately, coordinate perfectly, and trust his soldiers to do their jobs. He was right. They did. And the consequences shaped English military power in France for a generation. That is what Oberose was. Not a footnote, not a prologue to Crécy. A battle that deserved to be understood on its own terms. As a masterpiece of medieval command. If this is the kind of history that engages you, the battles where skill and nerve mattered more than numbers. The commanders who saw what others missed. He pushed north toward Périgueux, threatening the French position in Périgord, then withdrew and French forces began to concentrate. It was a deliberate move. He wanted them to chase him. The French took the bait. Believing Henry was retreating, the Counts of Périgord and Comminges, commanding a combined force of around 7,000 men, turned their attention to what seemed like a softer target. Oberose Castle on a rocky outcrop above the Overzère River was held by a small English garrison of perhaps 200 men. The French settled in to besiege it.